Hello, welcome back to Fires Gaming. My name is Ben, and today we're continuing on with Ever17. So a whole bunch of stuff happened last time out. So we chatted a little bit more with Sara, found out a little bit more about her past and her long-lost brother. We had a really weird lunch, had another encounter with Coco, who may or may not even actually be real. And then there's some sort of an implosion in the whale room that caused it to flood, and Sara drowned. And then, the kid managed to resuscitate her while also revealing that he might actually be her long-lost brother. Yeah, let's pick it up right after that. I heard a song coming from somewhere. It was a soft but somehow lonely voice singing.
長湯店を石月のせい夢の中より待ち降りぬ今宵柳つくよみ林早く今夏と待ち降りぬ眠りたもぬく止まる見て眠りたも母に抱かれて真赤いかかげし水のせい夢の中より待ち降りぬ今宵鳥船渦巻き鬼早く今夏と待ち降りぬ眠りたもゆるゆるゆられ眠りたも海に抱かれて
Okay, so I had a slight little glitch there, which caused us to skip over a transition. It was just changed to the next day. So the song was pretty much just like a longer version of the one we've already heard. So the words are, Moon sprite shouldering a longbow, waiting inside a dream. Tonight a story by moonlight, hoping the wait will be short. Sleeping curled and snug, sleeping in mother's arms. Water sprite lifting a pair of paddles, waiting inside a dream. Tonight the whirlpool demon, waiting for a boat, hoping the wait will be short. Rock, rock, rock to sleep. Sleeping, sleeping, held by the ocean. And then, just change over to May 6th. So, I woke with a nostalgic feeling. I found myself on a narrow bed in the infirmary. Looking up this white ceiling, I gently nodded off. My memories slowly came back to me. Flooding in the cosmic whale and saving Sara. Sara coming back to life. My fever worsening and then my collapsing. I looked over to the bed next to mine. Sara was asleep on the bed next to me. Her breathing was regular and her cheeks flushed a healthy pink. Feeling a bit relieved, I let myself half doze. From far away I could hear faint voices. They seemed to come from an incredible distance, were all jumbled together, but they sounded like Scooby and Takashi. Their voices echoed slightly. The words are too faint for me to make out what they were saying. They were talking about Hamel or Harmel, something. Words that I thought I had heard before, but the sounds quickly changed my mind to meaningless garble. After a while, the voices stopped. Out of habit, I touched my pinky to the thumb of my left hand. It felt a bit strange. I lifted my left hand and stared at the thumb. Something was strange, out of place. The blurriness of my vision suddenly came into focus. The scar was gone. Why? How could it be gone? I hurriedly sat up. I stared over at my left hand again. The scar was nowhere to be found. I was sure there had been a scar there. I remembered noticing it when I had opened the elevator to rescue Sara. Had it just been a figment of my imagination? No, I was sure it hadn't been. I was positive there had been a scar. But Why had the scar suddenly vanished? A sense of loss flooded through me, making me feel like I had a gaping hole in my heart. I sensed that I'd lost something critically important, but I was unsure of what. And that was how I felt. Sora! Sora! Forgetting that Sara was sleeping, I shouted out for Sora.
はい、少年さん、何か？
Yes, kid, what is it? Sora's voice answered me. Sora, did you do something to me?
何かとは？
Something? What do you mean? Don't pretend you don't know. There was a scar on my left hand. But it's gone now.
ああ、そのことですか。
Oh, so that's what you mean. Sora appeared in the entrance to the room. What are you talking about?
眠っている間に摘出しておきました。
While you were sleeping, I extracted it. Extracted what?
こちらにいらしてください。
Perhaps you should come over here. I approached the examination table as Sora suggested.
これです。
This. Sora pointed to a small shard suspended by a manipulator arm above the
こ
examination
れが
table.
埋まっていたので摘出させていただきました。
This was embedded in your thumb, so I extracted it. Is it like the missing piece from Sarah's mirror? What gave you the right to do that? It could have been a clue leading to my past. I let loose on Sora without
Hey.
thinking.
ご指摘の点はごもっともです。
Yes, you're exactly right.
しかし、体の中に異物を入れておいても何も良いことはありませんよ。
However, no good can come of leaving a foreign object in your body to fester.
それより少年さん、
More
こ
importantly,
のかけらに見覚えはありませんか？
kid, do you remember seeing this fragment before? No, how could I? It didn't make sense to me why Sarah would ask such
こ
a
の
thing.
かけらにはある画像が記録されていました。
This fragment has an image recorded on it. Sora continued speaking calmly. So yeah, it has to be from her little amulet. An image?
ご覧になりますか？
Would you like to see it? I pinched the shard that had been buried in my thumb between my fingers. This? It had the same holographic image as in Sarah's pendant. There's a picture of a man floating
見
there.
えるのですか？
Can you see it? Yeah, I can see
実
it.
はこのホログラム、ある特定の波長の光線を照射しなければ見えない仕組みになっているのです。
This hologram was designed so that it only can be seen when viewed with light of a certain wavelength.
今はレミのシステムを使ってそのかけらに光線を当てています。
Right now, I'm using a Lemmy to shine the proper light on
こ
it.
のホログラム、製造年代は特定できませんでしたが、とても古いバージョンのものであることは確かです。
I could not confirm the date of manufacture of this hologram, but it is undoubtedly very old.
今、レミューの売店で売っているような商品とは基本的に原理が異なります。
Its makeup is fundamentally different from the ones being sold at the Lemieux's
か
kiosks.
つてのホログラムは物体光と参照光、この2つの光によってできた干渉島を記録したものでした。
In the past, holograms were recorded using an interference pattern made from an object beam and a reference beam.
簡単に言うと、物体光は被写体に反射した光のこと。
But simply, the object beam is the light reflected off the object.
参照光は物体光を干渉させる光のことです。よろしいですか？
The reference beam is the light beam. Is the light that interferes with the object beam. Do you understand? I mean, not really. The Sora continued on without giving me time
そ
to
して
think.
ここからが大事なところなのですが、
And now comes the important
こう
part.
してできたホログラムを再生するには、
In order to make this hologram
記
appear,
録した時の参照光と同じ波長の光をホログラムに当てなければならないのです。
light, which is the same wavelength as the reference beam used to record the image, must be shined upon it.
つまり、まとめるとこういうことになります。
So, to sum it up, it's like this.
このホログラムのかけらの画像は、ある特定の波長の光を使って撮影されたものであり、
The image on this fragmented hologram was recorded using light that was a certain wavelength.
この画像を見るためには、それと同じ波長の光を当てなければならないということです。
And in order to see the image, you must shine light of the same wavelength on it.
蛍光灯の光では見えません。
It also cannot be seen under fluorescent light.
例えば日光や、あるいはライターの炎のように高温で発熱する光源が必要なのです。
You must use light generated by heat-emitting light source, such as sunlight or the flame of a lighter.
そして
And Sora continued her explanation. She said the special wavelength of light was infrared and around 850 nanometers, maybe? And that ordinary people couldn't see infrared light. She went on to say that if a person were able to see infrared, they would even be able to see in the dark. But that they could only see objects that emitted heat. Put another way, objects that gave off heat also emitted infrared rays. If you could see infrared rays, then you could tell the temperature of something without having to touch it.
この映像はその赤外線を見ることができなければ見えません。
You would not be able to see this image unless you could see infrared light.
この映像が見えるということは、少年さんは赤外線が見えるということです。
The fact that you can see this image means that you can see infrared light, kid. That explains why the other two couldn't see it. But what about Sarah? Does that mean she can too?
はい。お二人は赤外線が見える特殊な視力の持ち主ということになります。
Yes, both of you have a very unique ability to see infrared light. So how did Sora know to look for that on that little tiny shard of glass, though? That's my question at the moment. Thinking back on it, that probably explained why Takashi and you couldn't see the image independent. Yeah. But why was this hologram in my finger? I trembled as I said this. It's the same image as in Sarah's pendant. Are you saying that the missing piece of that pendant has been in my thumb?
それ以外に考えられません。
That is the only conceivable explanation.
表面の断面とかけらの形も一致しています。
The surface and shape of the fragment match the pendant perfectly. But why?
それは少年さん、
That, kid,
あなたと松永さんが兄弟だからです。
is because you and Sarah are siblings. It can't be.
二人が赤外線視力を持っているのもそのためです。
It is the same reason that you both have the ability to see infrared
お
light.
そらく遺伝によって受け継がれたものなのでしょう。
It's probably because you both carry the same genes. No. No.
少年さん、どうしてお喜びにならないのですか？
Kid, why wouldn't that make you happy?
あなたの肉親が見つかったのですよ。
You found a blood relative.
記憶を取り戻すためのこれ以上の手がかりがあるでしょうか？
Is there any better way possible to recover your memory? No. I held my head and crouched
い
down.
ずれにせよ、これは事実です。受け入れてください。
In either case, it is a fact and you should accept it.
お二人が寝ている間に DNA 鑑定をさせていただきました。
While you were asleep, I performed a DNA analysis on both of
デ
you.
ータはディスプレイに表示してあります。
The results are indicated on the
お
display.
二人が兄弟である確率はほぼ 100% です。
The probability that you're brother and sister is nearly 100%. No. Suddenly, the wall of my memory that I had tried so hard to destroy, but I've been unable to breach, crumbled. Like a dam that was holding back the overflow of my memory, it burst, unleashing a torrent of images that flooded into my mind. Ugh. Memories of my life, in no apparent order, flashed across my mind like random slides appearing on a screen. From one to the next, they flooded up and vanished. My mind couldn't handle the flood of memories. And then came the darkness. I heard a lullaby coming from somewhere.
まかいかかげし水のせい夢の中より待ち降りぬ今宵鳥船渦巻き鬼早く今夏と待ち降りぬ眠りたもゆるゆるゆられ眠りたも海に抱かれて
Cool. No words that time, but I mean it's the exact same lullaby that she keeps singing, so I think we're okay. I groggily opened my eyes. I was lying on a hard bed. Wait, with Sarah making some weird crying sounds. I heard a voice crying from outside. There was a girl surrounded by a group of bullies in an open space. It was Sara. Kids are being cruel, jeering her, and making fun of her in only the way that kids can. I ran up to Sara. The bullies scattered like baby spiders in the wind. Sara said that a precious pennant had been broken. She clutched the pennant firmly in her hand. I bent over to pick up the fragment from it. I felt a sudden shock from behind. I was plunged forward. With a sharp pain, the shard was buried in my thumb. The kids that had always bullied Sara had encircled us. The laughter and howls of our tormentors echoed around us. You bullies, how could you do this to Sara? Forgetting myself, I lunged at the mob of kids. They beat me mercilessly, and as I lay on the ground at that open space, I faced skyward. Satisfied with what they'd done to me, the bullies had left. Sara came and held out her hands to me.
You're so brave, brother.
She smiled as she said it. Even though I lost, blood continued to drip from my finger. Not wanting to worry Sara, I pretended that everything's fine and dismissed it as nothing. I didn't say anything to our teacher. I didn't go to the doctor, I just silently endured the pain. It seemed to me that to tell someone of it would mean that I had lost. In time, the wound closed up. Then, one day, a nice lady in a suit came. She told us there was a place we could go where things would be better. Saying this, the lady held out her hand. We could see things that other people couldn't. At first, we thought our abilities were normal, but everyone had shunned us. The lady said she wanted to study us. I decided to go along with the idea. Our caretakers at the orphanage where we lived were happy to see us leave because they thought we were troublemakers. We fell right into their trap. They locked us in a small hospital room. Day in and day out, we were marched from that room to the research institute. At night, moonlight would stream in from the lone window. The only things I remember are the Lieblich logos on the doors we passed every day, and the white frocks of the research employees. And every night, the voice of Sara crying in the room next to me. One day, there was something in the air that was different from other days. We were taken from our rooms, led to a research office in a different area. People who I'd never seen before took me away. Sara alone was left there.
Brother.
I could hear Sara's screams. I shook off the adult's hands and ran to where Sara was. The researchers tried to block my path. Sara.
Brother.
Sara, wait for me. I'll come back for you. I promise I'll come find you. Be a good girl and wait for me.
I'll be good and wait for you.
There we go.
But come for sure. You come to get me, okay? For sure, okay? I'll wait forever.
I had promised. That was how things were. Back then, I had promised. I promised to go get her, but I hadn't gone. I couldn't go. I was moved to another facility, and after a while, I was taken to a new home. My foster parents were good people. They were good to me if I didn't get out of line. But they sold their souls too and were controlled by Lieblich. I passed my time under their forgiving but ever-present eyes, not being able to search for Sara. Still, there were times I did my best to find leads to her. But I didn't even know where the research facility was, and something would always get in my way, and after a while, I couldn't search anymore. I just hadn't been able to help Sara with my limited powers. But no matter what excuses I came up with, the result was the same. I had abandoned Sara. In the isolated clinic room into which the cold moonlight shined. I couldn't keep my promise. Even now, Sarah was on the other side of the door. I knew that she was still waiting for me in that miserable little room, still believing in me, just as I had promised. The sense of guilt I felt overpowered me. It left me with an agonizing sense of hopelessness and utter despair. There was nothing I could do. I didn't have any other choice. What else could I have done? When I opened my eyes, I was lying on bed in the infirmary. I didn't know if someone had brought me there or I had dragged myself unconsciously. I looked at my watch without thinking. Not much time had passed since I'd passed out. Lying on the bed, I looked up at the ceiling and thought about the events leading up to this point. The reason I'd known that it was too hot inside the generator room was my infrared vision. And the moonlight coming from the inverter unit had been the same thing. In the darkness, I had mistaken the heat from the inverter as moonlight. And the shock that I felt when I met Sara made sense too. We were siblings after all. Probably, even without my memory, the back of my mind I had known. And that's why, the first time I had seen Sara. And why had she grasped my thumb in the darkness? Why had she sung that lullaby that time?
本当に知らない？
You really don't know?
そっか。そうだよね。
Oh, I see. That's right.
It seemed to me that Sara had probably noticed that we were brother and sister. So, I raised myself up. Sara was still asleep in the bed next to me. I stood next to Sarah's pillow and stared down at her face. My memory was still a little jumbled, but there's no mistaking that face. It was Sara. Little Sara had grown up to be 16. It had to be her. I was sure it was Sara. The sister that I had made a promise to find, but then broke. I felt so guilty and ashamed. I couldn't look at her face. It was just hard being there. I didn't know what to say to Sara. What excuses could I make to her? No matter what I said to her, it would all ring hollow. I wanted to get out of there before she woke up. I walked towards the door.
お兄ちゃん？
Brother?
With her voice, my legs stopped. I didn't have the courage to turn around.
ねえ、お兄ちゃんなんだよね。
You are my brother, right?
Sara continued talking. Each of her words was like a stab in the
お
heart.
兄ちゃん？
Brother?
No. I spit out the words without thinking.
Huh?
You're wrong about me.
そんなはずない。
That can't be.
お兄ちゃんでしょ？
You are my brother, right?
No. I sensed that Sarah was about to get up from the bed, so I tried to
待っ
leave.
て、
Wait.
待ってお兄ちゃん。
Brother, wait.
Her voice sounded just like when she had cried out to me when she was a child, and I froze, unable to
お
move.
兄ちゃんでしょ？ねえ、そうだよね。
You are my brother. You are, aren't you?
Sara grabbed my shoulders.
なんで黙ってるの？こっちを向いてよ。
Why don't you say something? Look at me.
Sarah circled down in front of me, all the time holding my shoulders. But I couldn't bear to look her in the face and turned
ね
away.
え、お兄ちゃん。なんでこっちを見てくれないの？
Why won't you look at me?
ねえ、私を見てよ。
Hey, look at me.
ねえったら。
I said look at me.
No, no, no. I shook off Sarah's hands. Sara. Sara threw her arms around me, hugging me tightly. Sarah's eyes stared directly at me.
どうして否定するの？
Why is it denying me?
お兄ちゃんでしょ？お兄ちゃんなんでしょ？
You are my brother, right? You are, aren't you?
No,
どうして違わないよ。
Why not? I know you are.
お兄ちゃんだよ。
You're my brother. My brother.
待ってたんだよ。ずっと待ってたんだよ。
I waited for you. I waited and waited.
お兄ちゃんのことずっと待ってたんだよ。
I waited forever for you to come.
お兄ちゃん。
Brother.
Sarah fell to the ground and I said nothing to her. I just ran out of the room. That's right, I ran away. I ran from Sara and from my past. Alright. Well, that feels like as good of a place as any to call it for today, but man, that was... Yeah, that was interesting. Anyway, yeah, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you all next time.